Okay,
Should be all set to go. Yeah.
so let me just start by saying that I think we all have enough love in our lives, even if sometimes we A, don't feel it, or B, we have to poke beneath the surface a bit to find it. But there is always more than enough love, and there's always more that we can let in. Love heals us, love empowers us, love transforms us, it opens doors, it comforts us, love lights our way. It really can truly change everything. Love in all of its expressions is what we're here for, in my opinion. And I ponder this question frequently. So the question I ponder is, what does love look like? How can we use that power of love in our everyday living of life? And how do we continue to let more love in? So let's just jump in and explore some ways to do that, to let more love into our lives. I have 5 springboards that I'd like to share with you, and these are by no means the definitive list, certainly. And I'd love to hear if anybody wants to share as we move along or at the end or whatever, if there's any ways that you let more love into your lives on a daily basis or monthly or yearly or whatever. So let's jump in. So springboard number 1 is forgiveness. This is a biggie because forgiveness can set you free. You don't have to forget, but it's really important to forgive. And sometimes when you forgive, you actually end up forgetting. So that's a bonus. Forgiveness lets you move forward with your life in whatever way you want to. I look at it like forgiveness lets the light in and forgiveness lets the love in. And I look at forgiveness as a practice. So forgiveness as a practice is kind of like cleaning your house. It's important, to do it regularly. So forgiveness is a practice. Think about like what constrictions you're holding on to that aren't helpful, like grudges or what wrong somebody's done or something that's happened in the past that you can't seem to let go of, things like that. And it can also be situational, a situation you see in the world that seems unforgivable. There's also the harder one I find, self-forgiveness, and looking at what do I have to forgive myself for? Is it like a hurt that I caused, something I didn't do that I wanted to, regrets that I have, something in the world that I feel that I have contributed to or allowed in some way? These all can be big things or little things. The key is when we forgive ourselves or others or situations, we allow more love into ourselves and we allow more love into the world. And that allowance then allows more love to come back to ourselves. So we're creating a really nice cycle. So sometimes the question comes up, well, how do I forgive? Like I've tried, how? And while there are myriad ways to work with forgiveness, I'm just going to offer a pretty simple and straightforward way that I think is pretty helpful. So first, write out what it is that you want to forgive or be forgiven for, just because the act of that's helpful. And then with that, sit quietly and open your heart to the idea Just the idea of forgiving the person, the situation, or yourself. So as you're sitting with it and you're opening your heart to the idea, first see if you can freely release it. And if so, just let it be released out of you, and send it into the earth, send it up to the sky. Basically, you're giving it to the divine to transmute and transform. If you can't, if you feel constricted when you tap in, then ask for help. Ask your unseen guides, your higher self, God, Goddess. Ask them to help you forgive. And then check in. You know, it can be a few hours later, it can be the next day, whatever is the right rhythm for you. Then check in. All right, let me revisit that. I've asked for help. How does it feel to release it? Is it easy? Oh, yeah, now I can let it go. So then you let it go in the way you let it release, and you give it to the earth, you give it to the sky for it to be transformed. So springboard number 1 is to practice forgiveness. Not perfectly, just practice. So springboard number 2 is curiosity. I think that curiosity is the gateway drug to love. Curiosity breeds creativity and imagination, and both of those things open the door to love. Curiosity ignites passion, interest, exploration, and curiosity leads you to learn new skills. Curiosity deepens our connection to people. We listen to ideas and thoughts. We listen to the world around us, and we allow all of that to have impact on us. And that impact expands and can take us in directions that we had never thought of. That curiosity, that fosters acceptance of others, and it also fosters acceptance in ourselves. And that acceptance fosters love. And curiosity can bring you closer to God, to Goddess, to all that is, to the divine, however you define it. Pondering the whys of life and following where those questions lead help us feel connected to each other and help us feel connected to our world. And that helps us feel that divine spark that's in each and every one of us. It helps us know that we never walk alone, that we are loved, and that we are love. And that love is ultimately what we're after, what we're jonesing for in this lifetime, isn't it? I think so. So, you know, be curious, more curious, and see where that takes you. Springboard number 3, humility. And I don't mean humility in the definition, like the dictionary definition, a modest or low view of one's importance. I mean, it does mean that, of course, but I mean a metaphysical definition that I learned from one of my mentors, Lazarus. And so for our purposes, we're going to look at this with from that definition. And that definition is, in essence, this: just because something is or was a certain way, something good, bad, or otherwise, does not mean that it will continue to be that way. Basically, it's about being open to the full range of possibilities. So an example of that would be, like, you have a world-class athlete who, like, always chokes in the finals. My husband's example of this would be his beloved Dallas Cowboys, who can't seem to win in the playoffs or whatever the postseason stuff is. So you have an athlete that chokes in the finals, but just because they have always choked in the finals doesn't mean they will continue to do that. The humility allows that just because it was doesn't mean it will be. So they open themselves to the possibility and the potentiality that they will actually win. So using humility in this definition can keep you engaged in the world, actively participating in the reality that you want to create. So it's not resting on your laurels, and it's not going, oh, it's never going to happen. It's like, oh, how can I look at this differently? Let me explore, let me understand. And humility can create a standing wave of having an open mind and an open heart. If you continue to question beliefs, attitudes, thoughts, and convictions, you can't help but be understanding to the incredible diversity that makes up our world. And it's not about like not having convictions and not having your opinions and your definitive thoughts on something, but rather it's about allowing the possibility of something other and something more. And when we allow for that full range of possibility, we naturally allow more love into our lives. So maybe play with humility in this way and see what happens. Especially if you're, dug in on something. Oh, let me just open up a little bit and see what comes of it. So springboard number 4 is care and compassion. And of course, we all know this one. And care and compassion for others, of course, but we're going to focus just a little bit here on self-care and compassion, because that organically feeds into care and compassion for others. Self-care has really, really become a buzzword. But what does it mean? Like when somebody says self-care, what exactly does that mean? And the thing is, it means something different to all of us. Like self-care it can mean so many things. For somebody, self-care might mean a spa day. And self-care might mean that like, oh, I gotta unplug. I gotta give myself permission to unplug. By the way, that's one I think we all should do. Unplug. But it could mean exercise. It could mean meditation. I really have to take care of my personal, physical, and mental health. It can mean spending time with your friends or spending time in nature or with animals or reading a good book, sitting on a park bench and watching the world go by. I mean, you get the gist. So basically, the key here really is to spend a little time defining what self-care is for you, and then commit to that on a regular basis. And by regular basis, I mean like every day. Like commit to self-care every day. Not all the things, or but like, if these are my top 5 like self-care things. Well, I'm going to do one of those every day. And that's going to nurture me in a way that allows more love into my life. And if I'm taking care of myself, it helps me take care of others. I mean, we all sort of know the adage, or what they say to us on the airplane, put the oxygen mask on yourself first and then put it on somebody else. And we forget that that's super, super important. If you're not taking care of your own stuff, it's a little more challenging. It's not that you can't do it, but it's a little more challenging to take care of other people. And then perhaps the hardest thing besides self-forgiveness is self-compassion. So how about this? Just for starters, in the self-compassion department, just cut yourself some slack. When you're, getting down your own throat, when you hear that negative self-talk about whatever it is, just stop. Just stop and take a breath. We can't be everything and do everything and be present for everyone all the time, hashtag doing all the things. It's just, we're not designed that way. We're not built that way. We're not here to be perfect. We're here to explore. We're here to learn to love. And so cut yourself a little slack. Take some time and just breathe. And maybe say, I love you in the mirror every once in a while. And actually, maybe say it every day. Every day, just when you're passing by, you're cruising by, just say, I love you. Just give yourself that. So take care of yourself and show yourself some compassion. So springboard number 5. I find this one sometimes to be challenging because of how we view time. But if we look at time a little differently, if we look at it not linearly, then being in the present is where it's at, because it's all we've got. Did I say springboard number 5 is being present, or did I just say springboard 5? Anyway, springboard number 5 is being present. I just realized I may not have said it. So that's what can be a little challenging, because being if we think about time as not being linear. So let me just elaborate on that a little bit. So in linear time, we tend to focus on the future or the past. And, we call upon the future so much. Healing comes from the future. We see futures. We set future goals. We dream about what our future holds. And all of that future focus draws in what we want in our current reality. And we use our past as an anchor. The past helps us define ourselves and our lives. And we find wisdom in our history, where we've been. We reflect on how we've grown and changed as a person. And our collective history helps us to define the world in which we live. But time is a construct, like we created it. So if we can step outside of linear time, the present moment holds everything. It holds our past and our future. The present moment is truly all we have. So being in the present moment is giving ourselves all of that stuff. Like, it gives us our wisdom, our shared history, healing, definition, bold dreams and visions. We have it all. We have it all now in this moment. And being present is the stuff of miracles. And miracles are the stuff of love. So try being present in that construct of what present means. So those are my 5. Those are I don't even know if they're my top 5, but those are the 5 that I have been playing around with this last bit of time. And so I think taking those and allowing them to be a springboard, allowing those springboards to springboard into all kinds of other things for yourself in terms of how you create more love, you know, will make your life and the world a much better place. So we do have a meditation, but before we do that, does anybody have any questions, or does anybody want to share any of their own ways in which they cultivate more love or anything like that?
Can I share my favorite?
Yeah.
Gratitude.
Oh yeah,
The more you feel it, the more you got, just so you know.
that's true.
It changed my life. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful for you, E.
Aw, thank you.
That was
Gratitude's
awesome.
a good
Thank
one.
you for all that. Thank you for all that. That's way cool. I appreciate it. Thank
Yeah, gratitude's a doozy in a good way. I think gratitude's awesome. Okay, does anybody have anything else they want to share, or any questions they want to ask?
Elizabeth, I like the way you speak, and I feel like I've slowed down since I've been listening to you.
Oh, that's good.
That's my comment, and it's nice
Thank
to
you.
reflect on Valentine's Day every day, but that's very nice. So thank you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, David. Please.
Yeah, I want to say thanks. Well, first of all, thank you so much for what you're talking about. One of the things that kind of got me thinking here was when you spoke about compassion, because I've had questions about compassion for quite some time, but I've always kind of thought that compassion is something that is essential to my nature anyway. And then it's asking myself, how does that emerge? And what I realized just recently I've been dealing with is compassion emerges for me when I truly face my circumstances,
Hmm.
when I don't fight it or resist it, but actually face it and all the nuances of it. And then I find myself able to, like, then compassion actually emerges, and then love emerges.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. I like that. I like that as a way to work with compassion, to face the the wholeness of the circumstances. You know, that also sort of feeds into you know, humility in the way it expands the range of possibilities. You know, when you sort of look at, you know, all of the, when you have a situation that you're dealing with yourself, and, you know, and you look at, okay, here are all of the given circumstances that I have. And from there, I think that, as you said, it sort of breeds compassion, and that in and of itself helps you to change it. And it probably allows forgiveness. You know, it sort of ties a lot of, and gratitude, you know, it ties a lot of these ideas, you know, you know, they're not stagnant, you know, they move together, you know, there's a flow to all of it. And so, you know, if compassion is something that really speaks to you, or gratitude really speaks to you, you know, those are that's love. Like all of it, ultimately, it's like however we get there, however we get to that place of, I guess it's maybe inner peace. We find those ways to find that peace within ourselves, even if it's momentary, before we move on to something, that's love, right? That's and compassion. I love that broader understanding of it. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I do think they all go together. And
Yeah.
and about making the idea of making space for that to happen, because we're able to sink down into our lives.
Yeah.
I got one.
Dave? Hello.
Hello there. I'm wondering, I'd like to hear what you think about how to handle this with forgiveness. The two on your list that really, and it was a great list, by the way. The two that trip me up are the self-care, being an Enneagram 9, of course. And oh, yeah. And the forgiveness part, which, and this is the part I like to hear what you think in terms of how to handle this, is that the part on forgiveness that trips me up all the time is those two little pieces of forgiveness that we always have to deal with, which is forgiving the what and forgiving the why. And getting to the what is really hard for me. I can forgive the why, but getting to the what to make it a complete forgiveness is really tough.
I don't think you
And
have to forgive the what, because sometimes the what is just an is, and you can't forgive it. I think the key is, and maybe try it on for size, is to really forgive the why. So maybe there's a deeper layer of why, and forgiving the why releases the what. So the what becomes, irrelevant, not irrelevant, but it's not charged anymore. So because the what the why is where the energy is, even though the what is the creation. You slap me in the face. That's the what, getting hit in the face, right? I can't forgive you for that. Okay, how am I gonna forgive my friend, my person, whatever, for slapping me in the face? Maybe if I dig into why they did that, or maybe what I did to get slapped in the face, or whatever, so looking at the why in probing that, and then forgiving the whys that may be in there. And that will probably help with the forgiveness, even if it's self-forgiveness. It's probably a little easier to do the why with the self, because you understand yourself a little bit more, but we sort of pass ourselves off. So going, okay, well, why did I do that? Not as a way to justify the actions, and you're not doing that if somebody slaps you in the face or whatever. You're not justifying what they did, but you forgive it so that you can move on. So you have to find the pieces that let you release it. And it might be layered. Probably depends on what the thing is.
Can I add something too? Because Jeff, that's
Yeah.
something I really work with. And I just remember, from those of us that are familiar with Lazarus, the what is the illusion. It's the story, and when we die, that's gone. The emotions are eternal. And for me, when I can't really forgive myself, what I've been finding lately is if I can go to indebtedness, that really helps. and asking my higher self and soul to lift the indebtedness and to heal the imprints and the scars. Because it's like, oh my God, look what I've been doing. Look how long I've been doing it. So even though I may have forgiven myself for the why, when I'm hooking up in the what, it's a lot of times a whisper for me of indebtedness. And that's the only legitimate guilt. So I don't know if that will help you, but it's been helping me.
No, that's great. I forgot about that. That's excellent.
Yeah, that's actually really, really important, especially when it's like, why did I wait so long? Oh, I should, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. So when we go into forgiveness with the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, you're right. Indebtedness sometimes keeps us in that place of not letting go.
That's the hook, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Holly. That's good. That's good to add to that.
Awesome. And I just want to say, I'm so grateful for you speaking humility too, because if we can't allow something to be new or different, then we're just playing a game of continuous forgiveness. We have to see that it can be different, and that humility just nails that. So I'm that you just touched me with that. So I'm going to go look what I can be humble about. So to allow it to be new. So thank you.
You're welcome. Humility can be tricky too, because as I said, it's not about like not having, because if you take that so broadly and it's like, well, I could feel this way and this way and this way and this way, you still may come back to the place that you were in terms of thoughts, or, convictions about something, but being open that it can be different, that's the name of the game, I think.
When I worked with forgiveness and was going in a circle for years, I had to look at it as in, what is it going to look like after I've been forgiven? After I've really forgiven this, what's it going to, and until I got to that point to actually, start dreaming and visualizing what could be different, I wasn't even allowing the humility because I never got off of the track of what happened. So I had to like jump into the future to see what could be different, and then allow that to be with humility, allow something new and different to come about of it. Even if it wasn't what I was dreaming, it was usually something better. So
Right. You sort of use it as a, as an anchor to
springboard.
allow, what'd you say?
And a springboard.
A springboard, that's right. Springboards. So yeah, exactly. Because if there's something specific and you open to all the other possibilities that are there, you just let in all that many more possibilities for what you let yourself have. And how awesome is that? Who doesn't want more shit? Like good shit, like who doesn't want more love? I don't know anybody that doesn't want more love, quite frankly. So, all right. So, does anybody have anything else they want to share, say, ask a question about? Yes, Linda?
I just wanted to add, and I guess this goes under your category or your springboard of self-care, the importance of creating healthy boundaries, because that's something that I have had to deal with and continue to deal with. And I think as healers, we all have to think about that, because that's part of really self-care and part of caring for others too. So I think it factors in, and I just wanted to add that in there.
Boy, you're so right about that. Healthy boundaries, and they're different for everybody too. Like anything in that category of self-care. What may be an appropriate boundary for you is not for somebody else, and we get to define that for ourselves, and it's okay. Like our boundaries are okay, and yeah, a lot of healers are very empathic, and not just healers, but you know, there's a lot of very empathic people that take on a lot of energy, and it's really important to understand that it's totally fine and appropriate to, you know, draw the line where you need to. You know, that's a great point. Thanks. Thanks for sharing that. All right, are we ready to rock and roll for a meditation? Everybody ready? So, okay. I want to just say one thing about our meditation is called Heal This, Get That. And there's sort of the destruction creation thing. And so when you give yourself the gift of healing something or letting something go, whether physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, you're also giving yourself the opportunity to create something really awesome in its place. And so it's sort of like, and it's not linear. So remember, we were talking about present, you know, it's like the destruction and creation, they happen simultaneously, not unlike some of the stuff going on in the world right now. We have a lot of destruction, but we also have this amazing creation that's happening too. So I just wanted to make note of that. And the other thing is, in the meditation, we step into a fire and we allowed flames to consume us. And if that's something that you're uncomfortable with in any way, then with the imagery or stepping into flames, when we get to that point, just imagine throwing what it is that you want into the fire. You don't have to step in. I love I love using the imagery, the metaphor, however you want to describe it. I love stepping in and letting all the stuff get burned off. But if that's a little too much, then you can always just throw it in. You can imagine taking that which you want to be done with and throwing it in. If I remember to, I may offer that in the meditation, but if I don't, I wanted to make note to say that in case it's not something that you want to do. You know, it's again, in the meditation, it's a springboard too. you get to do it the way you want to do it. So without further ado, we're going to heal this and get that. So everybody just looks like everybody's comfortable, but just get even more comfortable and just take a couple of deep cleansing breaths just to ground into the meditative space, your meditative space. And as you begin to breathe and just settle in, just let the world sort of fall away. And allow yourself to settle into a cradle of love. And we are surrounded in love. As we continue to breathe, and I will count from 5 to 1. And at the count of 1, you'll find yourself somewhere in nature, on a path or a trail or a road, somewhere that speaks to your heart, somewhere that you know or don't know that you love. And that happens at the count of 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And you're there. in a beautiful place in nature, standing on a path or trail or road. What does it look like? What do you see? What's there waiting for you? Take a look around. Breathe in the scent of where you are. Listen to your surroundings. Feel the movement. Then begin to walk your walk. Walk on this path or trail or road that's before you. And as you walk, think about what it is that you really want to let go of, that you are really ready to heal, that you're really ready to release. Release from your reality. And continue on your walk. And you come to a fork, one way veering to the left and one veering to the right. Choose a direction and keep going. And as you walk in this new direction, ask yourself if what you want to heal, to let go of, is really what you want to heal or let go of. Ask, is this what I'm really ready to heal? And listen for the answer. If yes, then maybe you ask for additional information that you may need. You may not need it. It may be quite clear to you. If the answer is no, then ask yourself once more, what do I want to heal? What do I want to let go of? What do I want to be done with in my reality? And wait upon the answer as you walk. It will come. You now come around a bend, and not too far in the distance, you see a small bonfire. It's a good fire. It's your fire. And as you come upon this good fire, someone's waiting for you. It could be your higher self, could be one of your unseen guides or counselors. Greet them with an embrace or a touching of foreheads, a subtle nod, a shake of the hands. Greet them in your way. Then tell them what you're here to release, to heal. They'll acknowledge it in their way. Then step closer to that fire, that good fire. And allow the clothes you're wearing to fall off, or you take them off, or the one that's there with you helps you to take them off. And you step naked into this gentle fire. You're ready to release. You are ready to heal. And as you stand in the flames, they begin to grow a little bigger. And then a little bigger, and then a little bigger. The fire grows and grows and grows until it consumes you. Allow this good fire, your fire, to consume all that you want to let go of, all of the bits and pieces that you know and don't know that are related to this that you want to let go of. Allow the fire to consume all of the constriction that surrounds it. Let this good fire, your fire, consume that which you desire to be done with. And as it builds and builds and builds and builds, it nearly explodes. And then as quickly as that fire grew, it's now gone. And you stand on a ring of ash. And you look down and you watch as the ash is absorbed by the earth. So there's nothing beneath your feet. And you know that you've healed and released that which you desired to heal and release. And the one that came with you, that greeted you, your higher self, or one of your counselors or unseen guides, they step forward, smiling, and they give you some clothes. So you wrap yourself up, and together you continue walking along the path, the trail, or the road. You got a little spring in your step. You feel a little lighter. Then as you're walking along, you ask yourself, what do I want to create in my life now? What do I want to manifest and receive? And as you ponder this, walking along, if it's daylight, it now turns to night as you walk. And if it's night, the night becomes deeper. And you soon come upon a grove of trees. And in the center of this grove is a round. This is your magic grove, your sacred round. And as your higher self or guide stands as witness, you step into the center of this grove, onto the sacred round, and look up at the night sky. Bask for a moment in the beauty of the night, the magic of the night. And think once more about what you desire to create now. And hold that image in your heart. And close your eyes. You feel a warmth touch your face. The warmth of light somehow touching your face. And you feel that light touch your heart. And that light moves into your body through your heart. And you feel it moving through your body. You feel love. You're surrounded and basking in love. You're being touched by the love of the divine. Receive that light, that love. Feel it from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. And let that love and light permeate your entire being. Receive it. Receive that which you desire. Receive it now in the light of love. And the beautiful intensity of the light dissipates into a gentle glow. And you open your eyes and you see a seed of light in the palm of your hand. That seed is your desire, touched by divine love. Place that seed in your heart. And then look into the eyes of the one who came with you. You both smile, knowing you have healed and knowing that you created something new and knowing it is within you to manifest in your reality. And then you close your eyes once more, knowing that you've changed. You are forever changed. And so it is. And at the count of 5, we'll be back in our current time and place, carrying that seed within us. Our reality has changed. You get to have what you want. At the count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And whenever you're ready, welcome back. Well, it's 5:01. I want to thank you all for joining me today on Love Day. I hope your lives are filled with more love than you can possibly imagine, and that it continues to grow because it's never ending.